Okay, everyone, a point for Celtic and Atalanta. A heroic defensive performance. I don't know if we'll go that far, but we'll certainly praise the team for what was a really strong effort to get a draw against last season's Europa League winners. We're going to be talking about that today. And I've got a very special guest. He may or may not be a new face, depending on if you watched me and him previously on 67 Hail Hail. Asim has joined me. Hello, Asim. Long time no speak, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Hamish. Great to be on. I've been following your channel since you've been away, so great to have my debut on. You're doing a great job, and not a bad night to make the debut after, like you said, I would call it heroic. I thought that was pretty. Thought that was pretty impressive. Maybe the last Dortmund game probably adds to the fact that that felt a bit more special tonight.
Yeah, I think the Dortmund game's going to feature a lot in what we're saying. I think we saw what we needed to see tonight. That's what I would say. I thought, after the Dortmund game when the team were far too open and we got another horrendous defeat, we were all fearing the worst. In fact, I'll start with that. How were you feeling going into the game? Because I was certainly pretty pessimistic, and even John McGinley was pessimistic, which says a lot.
Yeah, I was saying that to my mates. The stark contrast between going into the Dortmund game. So I was going to say fortunate enough to go over there, but we all went into that game full of not confidence, but just in a really good place, thinking that we've got a right good chance. We started the season flying, and I think a lot of fans felt we could, if not compete, maybe even just put in a really good performance. And I think the humbling that we took and the humiliation just completely made us feel a bit more, trepidation going into this one. So you're right. I don't think there was any Celtic fans I'd spoke to that fancied us to, let alone get a result or even just keep it tight, to be honest. So yeah, I was looking forward to any Celtic game in Europe. You go in with that slight hope, maybe we can do something. But all the hype was about how good Atalanta were. Brendan coming out saying that we're not going to do anything differently. So I think we all just feared the worst, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean that's been the debate since the Dortmund game, and even prior to that. Will Rodgers change? And I think a lot of the time, people have it in their heads that there's just two ways to approach a game like this, and one is the way we approached Dortmund, and six players pressing their back line early on in the game and getting ripped to pieces, and the other one is Steve Clark's Scotland, where you just offer absolutely nothing. And I don't particularly want either of those approaches. And I know the score may be kept down a lot if you play the Steve Clark way, but I don't ever want to see Celtic playing like that. What I think most fans want to see is a balance. They want Celtic to be resolute, but also carry an attacking threat. And listen, we can talk about the attacking stuff because there wasn't much of it against Atalanta. But defensively, right from the start, you could see that we were far more organised. In fact, it was funny because Real Hatate gave the ball away in the first 20 seconds,
First, I know. We're like,
and
here
and
we
I
go again.
I was honestly like, because Atalanta looked like they were potentially in right there, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh no, it's going to be another one of those nights, but it wasn't.
Yeah, you're right. Though it doesn't need to be one extreme or the other, and I think that's all that Celtic fans have been asking for. I don't know if you've seen Brendan's comments after the game. He was kind of doubling down on it when they asked him about the difference between the Dortmund game and here, and he was kind of saying, "Look, sometimes it's just things go against you." So, he's. I don't know whether he formally that's what he's just saying in front of the cameras, or there was a noticeable, obviously, difference tonight in terms of resilience and we were just making it a lot harder for them. Like Atlanta, I thought were really good in the first half, but you could just see, when you're playing up against pace and an attack like that, the last thing you do is play a high line and let those runners come in behind you. And I think that's the noticeable difference tonight. We played a lot deeper. We defended our blocks brilliantly. And as you said, you mentioned that we didn't carry a lot of attacking threat. Yeah, true, but I think still probably more than we did in Dortmund, and that was with apparently playing a naive attacking, philosophy. So I think it's all about balance. It's about playing your opponent and knowing your strengths and their weaknesses. And I think, as the second half wore on tonight, I thought, Atalanta started running out of ideas and we grew into the game. And I think that's where I was really proud with how the back line in particular. I think we'll obviously go into some of the individual performances, but just as a collective, I think that's going to do a lot for the players' confidence and belief going forward.
I thought all of the backline were pretty good tonight. I was really concerned about Alistair Johnson because he got that early booking. I think it
Well,
was the only booking of the game as well, and Um, when you see a fullback especially getting a booking at that stage, and you know that they've got tricky players having a go, I'm
Yeah,
thinking, how many times have we seen this happen? But Johnson was just fabulous, I thought, and ran himself into the ground. The two centre backs. Trusty for me was the man of the match personally, and I thought he won a lot of headers. I thought as the game went on, he actually did a fair bit of kind of running and clearing things
yeah,
up, and was quite composed as well. Scales is a good defender when his back is to the wall. There's
yeah,
questions when he's got the ball, and he had a couple of kind of stray passes and a couple of moments, but back to the wall, Scales is a terrific defender at getting in the way of things and defending things. He had a
yeah,
clearance start of the second half that would have been a goal if the ball had gone
yeah.
past him. Retegi, I think, was at the back post with a tap in. I thought Vai played really well, and offered us something. Again, not perfect, gave the ball away at times, but I thought he had a
Yeah.
good game. And Schmeichel made some saves as well. So when you've got your back four and goalkeeper playing like that, you've got a chance.
And that's the area that we've been all so concerned about, and it's why we were so fearful going into this game on the back of the Aberdeen game and obviously the Dortmund game, and we were there was question marks over Schmeichel. Some people unfairly, I think, criticising him a wee bit recently. Trusty, I'll be honest, I hadn't seen it from him yet, but I thought that was by far and away his best performance tonight. And as you said, Scales we know can put in that kind of performance because some of his best performances last season were at Ibrox or Champions League games, where you're really defending the box and backs to the wall stuff. So we knew he's capable of that, but it was really good to see Trusty also. I thought that the two of them, for me, I think Scales was probably my man of the match, and
Okay.
Trusty a close second. And Vi, I thought, just grew into the game. I think there's a player in there. You can see he's still got things he needs to work on. But I think Maida's not been great in a lot of the games where he's had him in front of him. So I think that's made it a bit more difficult. But I still thought Vi came into the game a lot today, and you can see he's got that kind of physicality. He likes to get stuck in. As you say, he's still a bit raw. He's working on things, but I think there's a player in there that can really grow. And yeah, the whole team second half really dug in, and defensively, you're right. That's the main area of concern. But they're the ones for me that stood up the most tonight.
Vai carries the ball,
Yeah.
which is something Greg Taylor doesn't do. It's just not Greg Taylor's style, and I do think sometimes in these European games it's good to have somebody who can carry the ball.
He reminds me a bit of Tierney in his style, in terms of
Okay.
his
Well, I
physique and
compared him
style in
to
the early days.
Bernabei the other day, so we'll
Wow.
take the Tierney
Bernabe's on
comparison over
fire, by
that.
the way. I don't know if you've
Is he?
seen, he's ripping it up in Brazil. But yeah, I think he offers different characteristics to Greg Taylor. Look, I think Greg Taylor, sometimes you see, especially domestically, when he's not there, I think, you can see that we do miss him. He's not a player that I have criticised in the past, but he's really grew on me. But in Europe, especially, we've seen some of his deficiencies in recent seasons, and I think tonight, for Vi to go into a ground like that against a team like that with all the hype to come away with and be part of that clean sheet, that's going to do him wonders as well.
Yeah, I mean they're a good side, Atalanta, and I thought especially first half some of the football they played was really good. They should have gone in ahead if we're totally honest. I think they had three pretty clear cut chances. So they had the one Pasalic hits the bar. They then had another chance. The big chance was probably the one that he had on the ground that he hit straight at Kasper Schmeichel. And there was one, I think it was Zappa Costa, a cutback again that he skies over the bar. They had a few other wee moments, but those were three pretty big chances, I would say. So we did ride our luck, and maybe a neutral looking at the game, the way the game went, and that's the stats on screen. But clearly, Atalanta's XG and basically every stat was in Atalanta's favour, possession, etc. A neutral looking at that would say, Atalanta deserved to win that game, but Atalanta are a far better team than Celtic. They have far better players. This is a team
Europa
that
League
won Europa
winners.
League.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's about going and defending well. And I thought in that respect we were really worthy of our point. I'll read out some Brendan Rodgers quotes, then we'll get further into it. So he said, "The concentration in the game was superb. You're talking about the highest goal scorers in Italian football. The players showed great courage. It was a really good point for us. I never doubted the players and their mentality. I was so proud of them. If you look at our opening three games to have 4 points, I'm so happy with that. It gives them the confidence that you can defend against a top team. I'm not sure whether that was pragmatic enough for some people. You're never comfortable until the final whistle goes, especially against a top team. Sometimes the luck luck goes against a Scottish team, but we defended manfully and stood up to be counted. Yeah, I mean, they had chances in the first half. Second half, they
No.
didn't really.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was impressed with them. We've heard a lot about them, scouting reports and different. I've seen a few of their games, and they're a very difficult team to play against, and you could see that in the first half. I thought they were relentless attack after attack, and we just had to really work hard. I thought there was space in behind for us to exploit, and I think that's one of the things that we'll maybe cover in terms of what we can still do better is our care and possession and just our general kind of passing ability at times. But we restricted them to obviously those chances you mentioned. First half, you're right. Anyone watching that and you felt the goal was coming. It did feel like that at times. But as the second half went on, maybe from about 60, 70 minute mark, yeah, we restricted them to kind of more, and you could see it. They were getting more frustrated, playing more hopeful balls. I don't think we had any kind of clear cut chances for the last 10, 15 minutes. And Rogers is right. That's a team that's the highest goal scorers in Serie A. They very rarely probably have nil-nils. I know they drew with Arsenal earlier in the campaign, but that was quite a cagey game. Um, and look, we're up against, as you said, Europa League winners, a team that's everyone's been raving about. We have to concede that we're not going to have as many chances. We're not going to have much of the ball. But all we ask for is when Celtic go away in Europe against these teams that are superior to us is to compete. And far too often in recent seasons, we've not done that. So for me, that's a big bonus tonight. And Rodgers, he's mentioned there about the pragmatism. I think he's not taken too kindly to a lot of the media and pundits, bringing that up constantly.
But
So I think it's
it worked. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I love
Well,
Brendan Rodgers, but do you not think like that worked tonight? So were we not kind of all right all along? Because if we'd have played like we did in Dortmund, we wouldn't have got that draw.
I know what you mean, and I was quite conflicted after the Dortmund one. I was there, and he just felt really, really disappointed. When you're in the stadium at the fact that. But if you look at the way we went into that, I think if ever there was a time to be confident that you could try and play your game and go toe to toe, it probably would have been that. But in saying that, I think the frustration came as we seen it as early as a couple of minutes in that we're playing far too high a line. They're getting in behind. He didn't adapt in that game. It felt. And as you said, tonight it did work. And that's, to me, that is a template. That's the blueprint of what I would like to see because you've seen it. These teams, they're going to come and pummel you and they're going to put pressure on. But if you can ride it out, you've seen how they got frustrated as the game goes on. And that's, when you're playing against these teams, you have to try something different. And I think for me, that's how I'd like to see us approach when we're playing against these teams that are better than us. Make it difficult, and you'll see the players will take a lot more belief from that tonight. And that you've got to give them credit as well because you could, after that 7-1 defeat, it could easily, for them, their confidence could be down. Everyone's been saying to them, that the levels can we compete at that level. For them to come away with that tonight, I think that's really, really going to set us well going forward.
Because you won't get results every time playing like that. I
No,
mean, on another night, even regardless of how well we defended, you lose that game maybe 1-0, maybe 2-0. So we need to realise that this
yeah,
isn't. It's not like Celtic are suddenly going to be going away from home in the Champions League and picking up 0-0s and maybe even better than that. We're still going to lose a fair amount of games, but I think you give yourself an opportunity when you're just a bit more disciplined.
yeah,
You give yourself an opportunity to pick up points, and if we only maybe need a couple of points away from home, really,
yeah.
to add on to
That
all
could
the
be a
points that we'll hopefully
that
get
could be
at
a
home.
really that could be a really crucial point because if anyone said to us after 3 games with two of your
Oh,
hardest away games out out the way, 4 points is
I'm
a great return.
if we'd have lost 2-1 in Dortmund, big if, right? But if we'd have lost 2-1, you'd be looking at the start as being fabulous. Like 4 points.
Yeah,
I didn't think we'd get 4 points. I thought we'd have three. So we're ahead of schedule there.
yeah,
And we're now going into a couple of home games that I think, and I made the point after the Dortmund game, I think Celtic at Celtic Park is totally different to the away games. It changed for a couple of years. Remember under Postecoglou, it was kind of almost the away games we at times we looked a bit better in. It was a strange kind of time, but I think at the moment, certainly under Rodgers over the past couple of seasons, the home games have been really strong, and I know Leipzig are a really good team, but I fancy that at Celtic Park. I certainly fancy us to get something from that game, because everyone's going to be on a high now, 4 points, and if you find a way to beat Leipzig, you could be going into match day 5 knowing that a win against Club Bruges and you're pretty much through with 3 games to spare. I know that's a long way off, but that's kind of the we're not a million miles away already. Work to be done. Just on Leipzig, by the way, and we'll come back to Celtic, but they lost to Liverpool.
Yeah,
Um,
they're 3 defeats out of 3.
3 defeats from 3, so they're going to come to Celtic Park with no points, and I think that's interesting because they're going to have to win at Celtic Park, probably, aren't they? I mean, a draw is not going to
More,
be
it's
good
more
for
of a
them.
must win, more of a must win for them, I'd say. I think for
Yeah.
us, because of
Oh,
the
definitely.
unexpected point tonight, it kind of you can go into that game and not lose, and it's you're still in a good position because you've still got on paper your 2 easiest home games to come. So yeah, it'll make it probably a really open game, which would have been anyway. I think they're quite an attacking team. They've had 3 difficult fixtures, but yeah, interesting. The 3 defeats for them means that they're going to have to come in Celtic Park and really aim for the victory. But just another thing that you mentioned, which is a good point. You're going to get games like tonight, and as you say, we're not always going to come away with that result. The XG differential probably is still, heavily in their favour. I think by 2. So, but what you do when you defend like that is you give yourself a chance. You give yourself a chance. It's similar to what Aberdeen did at the weekend. We had the higher XG. We should have won that game. We pummeled them for the last 10, 15 minutes. But you give yourself an opportunity when you stay in a game. And I think that's where too often Celtic, they self-destruct. It's either red cards or 2 goals in succession. It's all that kind of stuff. And tonight, just by defending resolutely, defending the box brilliantly, clearances, bit of game management at times as well. In the past we've seen us rush out for free kicks, goal kicks. I felt Schmeichel was taking his time tonight. I thought the subs came on and did well. Everything seemed like we had a plan tonight, and when it comes off, you're going to give yourself an opportunity to pick up points where you otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah, it may have been a little bit of a coming of age performance for the team going away to a team like that and getting a result. It wasn't particularly pretty. I don't think we played much good football, and I'll be honest, I always want more from Celtic, and tonight I'm absolutely delighted. But I do think going into the next time we play a team like Atalanta away from home, certainly at Dinamo Zagreb, I think, which is our next away game, I want more quality going forward because the players have the quality. These are good players. They show it, albeit at a lower level domestically, but they have the ability to find passes and have good first touches. And I just thought the amount of times we gave the ball away, that was my one, I guess, kind of minor complaint tonight in the grand scheme of things. But I thought there was opportunities there to get in behind Atalanta and the pass. It was either a bit rushed. It was almost at times as if the team were trying to rush the ball, and I just thought, just calm down and move the ball about a bit and wait for your chance. Because the amount of times we gave the ball away, but imagine we're able to get to that point and become a really top counter-attacking team. If you have that plus the kind of defensive resolve, you could be nicking wins in games like tonight.
It's the belief. I think sometimes the players they just you mentioned that they rush things, and I think that's just
Yeah,
because we're so rarely put under that amount of pressure domestically.
yeah,
We're never under that amount of stress. So it's difficult for them then to transfer that into European games because they either are doing one or the other. Domestically we're constantly just on the front foot, rarely having to defend like that. And then in Europe, we're not really going to have much of the ball. So when we do, we're rushing things and we're passing. And you're right, it's just about finding that balance. And I think games like tonight, just just for confidence and belief, because that Dortmund one, I think noticeably, kind of, you've seen the last couple of performances that followed on from it. It felt like we weren't at the same levels. I think there was a bit of an overreaction to that as well. They were after international breaks. Ross County away is always a difficult game, but naturally, we've all played football at any level. You get pummeled like that sometimes, it's going to knock your confidence a bit. So I think this could do the opposite. It means next time we go away to Zagreb, we've managed to come away from a team that's so much better than Zagreb with a point. You'll have that belief that we can go and take them. That's the kind of game you're right. I think I want to see us put on a polished, kind of more controlled, possession-based performance, but still keep the defensive side of it. I guess that's the holy grail that Rodgers and many Celtic managers have tried to find in the past, and it's not always easy.
yeah. So 5 games to go. We'll take Aston Villa to the side for now because that's the last game. The next 4, you need 6 points. 5 more could be enough. I think there's Opta said there's like a 50%, 60% chance of 9 points being enough. You go up to 10 points and it's a 99% chance. So let's just say we need 6 more points. You've got Leipzig at home, Club Brugge at home, Dinamo Zagreb away, Young Boys at home. Leipzig are a good team, but they've lost all 3 games so far. There's fixtures there, given that we've just gone away to Atalanta and got a draw. There's fixtures there that Celtic can win. And I think we should feel good about our chances. We're 20th in the table, Asim.
Have you seen some of the teams below us? Likes of Bayern, Atletico Madrid, Leipzig, AC Milan. There's quite a few teams below us right
Coming
now.
for us.
I know. Yeah, I'm enjoying this new format. I think it's interesting. It's it's one of those you're going to be engaged right throughout. I think because everyone's going to have something to play for, whether it's top eight, top 24. And you're right, we've put ourselves in a right good position. We all seen when the fixtures came out. I think I've seen you say this as well. You're buzzing at the draw because we did get a quite a favourable draw. But then when you see it lined out, and especially the way it fell with the back-to-back Dortmund away and Atalanta away, like this isn't going to be as not plain sailing because it was never going to be. But it looks a lot tougher than we may have thought. But what we've now done, we've got 3 games, 3 of our next 4 at home. And you really hope that by the time we get to Villa Park, we'll have secured those 6 points because now I feel a bit more confident. Even Zagreb away, that's somewhere I would look to maybe try and get points there. Leipzig at home, I think will be really tough. But again, the fact it's not must win, it just eases a bit of the pressure on us. And you're right, Celtic Park. We've seen last season. I think we've gradually got better at home in Europe because even the 3 games last season, I thought we played pretty well. Unlucky to lose to Lazio and obviously got points in both the others. So it gives the feel good factor back again, didn't it? And I think we'd kind of lost that a wee bit after the Dortmund game. It just makes everyone feel a lot better going into the domestic fixtures coming up. And what Leipzig's a couple of weeks away now. I think it's not as big a break between this and that game. So yeah, Celtic Park will be absolutely rocking that night.
It's going to be a huge night, isn't it? Because that's the kind of biggest home game we've got, the toughest team we've got at Celtic Park. So,
And you're right,
yeah,
if we pick
looking
up three
forward.
points there, then you're halfway,
Yeah,
you're almost there. You're looking for
yeah.
3 more. So yeah, not getting too ahead of ourselves, but I think yeah, a lot to be excited about.
Yes, indeed. €700,000 banked as well. I believe that's a minimum. I think so. I'm reading here that apparently there's a pot of 2.1 million put aside for each match. So obviously, if a team wins, they get all of that. If it's a draw, uh, each team gets 700, and then the remaining 700 goes into a bigger pot and is split between the clubs based on where they finish in the league table. So nice and easy. I don't know why they don't just give 1.05 million to each team. Maybe that's too much for a draw. I don't know, Asim. Anything else? Just going back, I thought the subs were good when they came on.
Yeah, I thought that then they were well, I was watching it with my dad and I was like, we need to make the subs now because you almost
Yeah,
felt we were tiring and I was like, let's not leave it too late. So I think they came on at the right
Hatate was
time.
good.
Yeah, I thought that was his best performance in a while. I thought out of the midfielders, I thought he was the best in the first half. And then I think Callum was really good second half, aided by Bernardo and McCowan when they came on. Um, Engels, I'd like to see a bit more of. He's still early days. Obviously started his career brilliantly for us, but tailed off a wee bit in the last few games. But yeah, these are the games like tonight where you want to see a bit more kind of personality from him and just a bit more aggression. But yeah, the subs came on. I thought Kyogo's pace and movement suddenly kind of got us up the pitch a bit more. He had that kind of half chance, which was a good opportunity, and just kind of gave them something to worry about a bit more. Ida again, I thought when he started early stages of the first half, I thought he was linking up well or bringing the ball in and laying it off, but he tired as well. Who was the other subs? Bernardo. I always impressed with Bernardo, to be honest. I think he's really grown into a really good player. So yeah, everyone did well. Forest as well. So I think it was a proper squad effort tonight, and I think that's where we're seeing the benefit this season compared to last. When we're bringing subs on, even at the weekend against Aberdeen, I know we didn't end up getting the result, but you didn't feel like we're suddenly weakening the team. And I thought that tonight as well. I think all the subs every game they've kind of came on, they're contributing, so you can see that kind of squad depth is there. And Luke McCowan as well. Again, every time he comes on, I'm getting more and more impressed with him. So I think he's due a start, and I wonder if maybe Fir Park could be
Yeah,
it.
I think it will be. I think there'll be changes for Fir Park because I think it was a hell of an effort from the team. Maybe Taylor comes back in. We need to wait and see. And Carter Vickers, certainly McCowan would start for me. Kyogo maybe starts that game, but the games are going to come thick and fast. I think we play the midweek after Fir Park, and then we're Cup semi,
Leipzig.
and then we're
Yeah,
Leipzig. So it's the games are all
that's
coming,
right.
but it's exciting.
Right.
First away Champions League points since Shakhtar Donetsk. First Champions League clean sheet since Anderlecht in 2017. So a good night overall. Listen, it's been lovely to chat to you again, Asim. It's been far too long, so we'll maybe if this is you coming on and giving us a positive result, we'll maybe keep you
I
on
don't know if you
and chat to you
remember
again.
the first time I ever did a video
Bodo
with you was
Glimt.
after Bodo Glimt after a
Yeah.
European defeat. So much better circumstances this time. Unexpected, let's be honest. But it's good, and I think it'll be interesting to see. There'll be a lot of chat, obviously, probably in the media and speaking to Rogers about it and kind of saying to him, or in terms of was there a difference in approach, and it'll be interesting to see what he says about it. I think he's still quite adamant, that he's got one way of playing. But I think you can see tonight, it's not about changing your philosophy. I still thought we were just as likely to score and be a threat tonight as we were in Dortmund, if not more so. But we just added a streetwise, resilient kind of defensive approach as well, and that's all we're asking for going forward.
And Brendan Rodgers in that kind of mood, as we've found out over the past year or so, is not really a bad thing. It's good when
No,
he's got a wee axe to grind with the media, basically, and what
yeah,
people are saying. Right, okay, we'll head off then. Thanks very much, Asim. Much appreciated. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I think we'll do a video tomorrow. I think Stevie's maybe going to join me for that one. I'm in Brisbane, sunny Brisbane at the moment, so maybe a little bit stop-start with the videos, but we'll try and put one out for you tomorrow. Let us know what you made of the game and have a great day.